Hi, Joshua. How are you?
Hi, Sayed. How are you? Nice to meet you.
Thank you very much for accepting our invitation to interview for the Salesforce admin position.
Yeah, I'm excited, man. Thank you for having me for this opportunity.
Cool. So I'll tell you a bit about myself and the company before we jump into learning about your Salesforce experience. All right.
Sure. Yeah.
So I'm a developer here. We are a fast-growing Salesforce consulting company. We primarily focus on advising the U.S. government on Salesforce projects. For example, the Department of Navy, uh, the U.S. Trade Representative's Office, and that's our niche is doing Salesforce for government.
Okay.
And we are growing so fast because of tremendous demand in Salesforce by the US government. And we're looking for someone who can join our team and someone who can start delivering very quickly, someone who's a fast learner, someone who can do admin work and maybe some also business analyst kind of work. And so I was very excited to see your resume, although you don't have uh, experience at major
Right.
corporations. You look like someone who can learn fast, and that's why I wanted to talk to you.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate that.
Yeah, Josh. So can you tell me about yourself, please?
Yeah. So, um, well, I'm, still getting used to kind of the Salesforce space. I'm a little bit newer. I come from a bit of a business background, and my local business just started using Salesforce, and yeah, it's been a fun career. I found out about being a Salesforce admin, and and then I've just been kind of doing Trailhead and kind of getting to know the Salesforce space. I got to volunteer for a local nonprofit which helps veterans find care and find housing and things like that. And so when I heard that there was a job for that helped work with the government, and I was like, man, that'd be such a great place to work. So I'm really excited for the opportunity. And yeah.
Awesome, Josh. Uh, you said you've been doing volunteering work for veterans.
Right, it's a nonprofit. And they needed some. I'm sorry, you can. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Go on.
Okay. Yeah, they actually needed a little bit of admin work. They were just getting started. They specifically help veterans find housing, cheap and low cost housing. And so they were specifically looking for someone to come alongside, help build some of the Salesforce features, and kind of do some light. Uh, some automation. I couldn't think of the word. Some light automation to make everything go well, and yeah, and so I got a chance to do that. I built a couple of objects. I've made some reports. I've created custom fields, some custom dashboards. So that's awesome. I've built a flow or two for them, and so all that is working great. And yeah, and so I'm excited and looking to. I found out that I actually really enjoy doing some admin work, so I actually am looking forward to make this a career.
Awesome. How long have you been working with them?
I've been working with them for about 4 months.
Awesome, awesome. What's the best thing you think you've done for the nonprofit?
Well, I guess when someone calls in, um, we transfer them from a lead to an opportunity, and we'll take some of their information, and we'll kind of automatically kind of populate the information that we need. And so I've done that with a flow, and my flow does, branches kind of all over the place. So I was pretty proud of that. That felt good to. It saved a bunch of work, a bunch of time. From the way they previously had to do it was they just had paper, and so literally everything was in forms, and we're saving hours and hours and hours, and people are getting housing much faster now. So
Wow.
Yeah,
That's
it's
amazing.
been fun. It's really cool.
So you're working as a Salesforce admin for them. Previously, you said you were in sales.
Yeah. So I come from a sales background, and we've heard of Salesforce, and kind of in then, but yeah, our company finally switched over to using Salesforce, but it was mostly just a CRM. We didn't do anything fancy with it. Literally, just kind of held all of our contacts. It wasn't until the last couple of months that I've been really diving in.
Mm, got it. And what do you love the most about working as a Salesforce admin versus working as a sales person?
I think with me, I love seeing the change that I really get to make in the company. As a salesperson, I'm selling, as a salesperson, we were selling things, and that's great. And I get to help our end users, but being in that seat, I was able to see all the frustrating information we had to recopy over and copy and paste over. And we used a lot of Excel spreadsheets mostly to keep track of our leads and our pipelines that way. And that was that it was a frustratingly long process, and we had to manually type in all this stuff. And when I started seeing the power of Salesforce, that it really allowed me to with a couple, I spent a little bit of time building some of this stuff, but after it was built, it just would save hours of work. And so I love seeing that I can really help an organization, or I can help our business move a lot faster, just being able to do this. And so it's kind of a fun thing to see.
Yeah, that's true. That's also one of the things that sold me on Salesforce is how empowering it made me feel when I was
Mm-hmm.
learning. So easy to change the layouts, add fields to the layouts, customize the related list, add buttons, etc. That's amazing feeling when you can
Yeah,
do so much benefit so quickly.
right, right.
All right, let's talk about some Salesforce admin questions.
Okay, sure.
Um, what's the difference between lookup and a master detail relationship?
Yeah. So a lookup relationship would be a lookup relationship is a relationship between two objects, and specifically, it would connect two objects. So maybe like if you had if you had two custom objects, you would link them together by this lookup relationship. And so the lookup would the field would contain the ID of the related object or the related record. Um, and yeah, that's how those connect. And then a master detail relationship is almost the same thing, except for it's a little more specific. A master detail relationship is where, in order for there to actually be a detail, there has to be a master relationship. Where so they're more closely tied. It's like a parent-child relationship, and the child cannot exist without the parent. Where a lookup relationship, they can exist just fine without each other.
Good. That's one difference. What's another difference?
Um, the one difference being that they can exist and not exist? Is that what you're saying is
That's
the
one
difference?
difference. Yes,
Okay, okay.
that's a
Um,
child cannot exist without a parent.
right.
There's another important difference between master detail and lookup relationship. Anything ring your bell?
Um, yeah, I think there was I'm remembering something along the lines of um, how you're able to do counting and um,
Yes, yes. And what's the field? What's the
yeah.
type of field that does the counting?
Is it a roll-up field, a roll-up summary field, or a roll-up
Yes,
field?
good.
Yeah, so you can do a roll-up field with master detail, but you can't do it with lookup fields.
Exactly. Good,
Yeah,
good.
so thank you. Yeah, thanks for the hint there. I just forgot.
And third one then, there's another difference around security.
Okay, is it I think I remember there being something along the lines of as well. If you have access to the master relationship, then you have access to the child. If you have parent, then you have access to the child. But in lookup relationships, that's not true. There, you don't have access to both.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. Master detail relationship. If you have access to the master object, you automatically get access to the child records. Good. Very good. This is and can you tell me please what's the difference between a report and the report type?
I haven't messed a lot with reports.
Okay.
So,
That's fine.
but
That's fine.
from what I remember, I remember learning a little bit about that. But a report type would be the report is the actual report itself, right? Where
Yes, exactly.
it's actually what gets shown, and then the report types. You can have many different report types that show different information on the report. Is that correct?
Very close. Very close.
Okay,
A report, to create a report, you got to use a template.
I see.
This
I see.
template is the report type.
Okay.
Yeah. Great. Great. What is a profile?
Yeah, so profiles are a little different. I know that profiles, roles, and permission sets all kind of play an important role in users. And so I did get to mess with this a little bit. A profile is sort of what you initially assign a user when they log on to Salesforce. They are assigned a profile, and this profile contains certain a grouping of permission sets that or a grouping of permissions that helps people access the correct objects and things like that. So
Good. So a profile can give you access to what kind of things? Can you list me at least 3?
yeah, a profile can give you access to Apex classes.
Good.
Profile can give you access to objects, and a profile can give you access to fields and record types.
Good. Exactly. Yeah. You can also give access to tabs, visual force pages, and maybe also you can set login hours, login IP range. Cool. What's the difference between the profile and the permission set?
Well, each user can only be assigned a single profile, and but can be assigned multiple permission sets. And so that was kind of an interesting thing that happened. One of our users needed. I kept trying to change profiles for our users, and I figured out how permission sets, how they work together. And so that was when I first started early on. But now I think I have a better understanding. You can assign multiple permission sets to multiple users, and each of those things can give the correct amount of access that each one needs to each object or field or.
So how do you know when to use
Things like that.
profile and when to use a permission set?
Well, I think profiles are more set when users are first coming into the system. You kind of initially set their level of access, and then a permission set would be maybe you've created a new object that only. One of the things that we did was we created a new object that only the managers should be able to mess around with and create and update records for. And so what we had to do was we created a permission set. And then we gave that permission set access to the new object and fields and everything that we needed it to. And then we gave that permission set to each of the managers. And so a permission set can be used to group together a large amount of kind of permissions, I guess, and give them to each user as much as you need to. Oh, excuse me. Put that on silent. I'm sorry about that.
Good, good. Have you, in your in your admin internship, have you dealt with sharing settings by any chance?
No, not really.
Do you have any idea what are sharing settings?
I think sharing settings. I haven't actually messed with them. I remember it when I was doing some of my earlier learning. That sharing settings were more for um, connecting, basically allowing access to certain types of maybe an opportunity, for example. There could be a, I think I think the kind of the classic example would be, someone's leaving on vacation or for an extended period of time, and they need to um, I guess this is an example of how a sharing setting would stop this from happening. But if they're leaving for an extended period of time and they needed to transfer that to someone, we'd have to make sure that they share that opportunity with the other person. So sharing settings would limit the amount of, if I remember correctly, sharing settings would limit the amount of sharing that happens and who can see whose records, if that makes sense.
Okay, okay. This was a long explanation. Is there any way you can answer this concisely? What are sharing settings?
Yeah, I haven't messed with sharing
Okay,
settings
that's
very
fine.
much, but that's just from what I remember.
That's fine. Okay, okay. Basically, sharing settings control the level of access you have to records that you don't own. So you might have
Right.
access to a certain object, like account object, but if sharing some settings are private, that means you only have access to your own account records. But if it's public read, you have access to read other people's account records. So that's what sharing settings controls at a basic
Yeah.
level. Cool. Well, when you're working as a Salesforce admin, there's a lot of times you don't know something. For example, due to lack of experience, for example, about sharing settings. What do you do in that kind of situation if there's something you don't know, but you're trying to resolve?
Right. Well, I think first of all, that's why I'm excited to kind of work with people with a little more experience that I can continue to learn from and continue to grow my career. And what I like to do is I kind of like to work at a problem for about 20 minutes. And if I hit the 20-minute mark, and by working at it is trying new things, asking new people, I then would see if any of my like any of the people around have ever heard of this or dealt with this issue before, because I want to make sure, I want to make sure to get things through in a timely manner. So I kind of set a time limit. Um, as far as, so asking is on my list. There are a few websites that I've found helpful. I Over my time searching again, Salesforce has this like forum thing that you can kind of go to,
Mm-hmm.
and people have answered questions on that before. There's another one's like Stack Exchange, I think, is
Mm-hmm.
another one. So I think though, I've seen some websites and things like that, um, as well as I am subscribed to different blogs where I'm constantly trying to learn myself, where I'm trying to preemptively learn things before
Okay.
they happen.
Okay. And who's your favorite Salesforce blogger?
Salesforce Chef is I find him on YouTube. He kind of has some helpful admin stuff, and that's actually how I helped. And you saw some of his information for this interview. Also, Salesforce Ben is another one. I know that that blog has been around for a long time, and it deals with new upcoming changes and things like that. That's been helpful.
Awesome. Awesome. Cool. Yeah, I also like to follow uh, good Salesforce bloggers, including Salesforce Ben, Admin Hero, Jitendra Zha, and see what the release notes are, the shorter version from Reddit, and yeah, I think it's very important that you follow these thought leaders in the Salesforce space.
Yeah,
Cool.
I've learned a ton from all these people that are putting out. There's so many cool blog posts, and it's kind of surprising how many things you can learn if you
Yeah.
spend the time.
Yep. And w- when you were learning Salesforce, what do you find is the most difficult thing for you?
Um, I think one of the things that is really difficult for me is writing formula fields. Um, that took me a really long time to understand, and even now, I still find it a little bit difficult to do very complicated formula fields.
Mhm.
I usually try to use flows as much as I can. I understand that much easier, but if I have to, I can do it. But I'm still really learning how to use formula fields.
If you need to, if you're trying to build a formula but you cannot, what do you do?
Well, I've actually done that a lot, and so usually I will do a search for um, uh, something like it. So maybe if I need to, when the account phone number changes, the contact phone number should change, something like that, or that then 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 I would go on the internet and I would do a search for how to change a contact phone number with account phone number or something like that, and then and usually there's enough information there for me to kind of gather and at least try to understand what's going on. And then once again, at our at the nonprofit, there was someone there who had worked with Salesforce before, so I was able to really ask questions, and so that was helpful to me.
Cool. Let's say you're a system administrator at a small firm and there's a certain app that is in Salesforce and you want to restrict the sales team's access to this app. Let's say it's an app that shows the profitability of the company, uh, an app that can show the company's income statement, salaries. So you want to restrict the sales team from accessing this app. How would you prevent the sales team from accessing this app?
Mm. Okay, I think I think my initial thought would be to check um, the profile and permissions to see where those to see if either of those which one of those is granting access to that app, and then and after finding the correct one, I would probably then just restrict the permissions there and not give them any kind of access to the objects or the fields or just anything that has to do with that app or
Good.
the app itself.
Yep. Yep. Precisely.
Okay, good. Yeah.
Precisely. So let's say you work, you're trying to create, let's say you're trying to uh, create a report on a certain object, uh, and you know that you created a certain custom field on that object, but you cannot add it to the report. Why do you think this could be the case?
So just once again, because we were doing a lot of setup for the company, I didn't do a lot of stuff with reporting. It was more in the initial setup.
Mhm.
But my initial thoughts around that would be something like um, making sure that they have access to that field um, through field level security. making sure that, once again, back to profile and permissions, and making sure that either of those, that they have the correct access for that.
Let's say
But
there is
also
access to that field.
there is access to that field. Okay. So if the field level security lets it, then I'd probably, to be honest with you, I don't know. I think I could tell you what I would do if I needed
Yes,
to do that, but
please.
um, I think what I would do is I would spend some time, just looking around for, and maybe doing a search online for why I can't, why a custom field is not showing up in a report, and then I would see what other users have said are their issues, and then see if either of those cases match my current situation. So that's kind of what I would do. So sorry about.
Good,
Yeah.
good. Let's say you did a Google search, you use the keywords, but there are no results answering the question. What would you do?
Usually, I like I said, I do like to be self-sufficient and try to solve it myself, because I've learned that when I learn how to do that myself, I always remember how to do it in the future. But I also think that at that point in time, I try to pull on some of the team members that have done this before, and after I've spent some time on it, about 20 minutes or so. That's sort of my kind of time frame.
Mm-hmm. Good, good. One thing I would have done though before pulling in a team member is posing the question on a Salesforce admin forum, for example, Reddit or the Salesforce admin blog, Salesforce admin website itself, so that members of the community could advise you.
That's true. Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. And last technical question. There is a share button, right? Have you seen this button on records? There is a button allows you to share the record with other people.
Okay.
Are you familiar with this button by chance? Share button.
I've seen it.
You've seen it?
Yeah, but I don't.
Yeah. Do you know what it does?
No, I don't.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine. All right, then I'll skip this question. Do you have any questions for me, Joshua?
Yeah, I've heard a lot about this, about your company, and I think it's amazing that you guys do work for, for the government, and so I think this would be an amazing opportunity to work with you. And one thing I would say is, I know that I know that I just didn't quite know the sharing question that you just brought up right now, but if if there's something, if that question is a huge deal to us working together, and maybe making a difference in bringing me into, as part of the team, I want you to know that I'd love to maybe write you an email in the next day or so, and telling you what I've learned about the share button. I'm just really passionate about kind of working with you guys, and I think it would be really huge, a great step in my career, and I'm willing to work hard. So I know that wasn't a question, but I just wanted to say, if that was something that you'd be okay with, I'd love to do that, just to make sure that that I answered that question more fully. So. But yeah, are you guys interviewing other junior developers for this position? I mean, excuse me, junior administrators for this position?
Yes, certainly. There are a lot of people who applied for this role.
Okay. Are you hiring multiple junior administrators, or is it just a single
Right
role?
now we're looking to hire one person.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, that's pretty much it for most of my questions. I just wanted to know, how many positions you guys were hiring for, And yeah, and I've read a lot about the company. I saw your career page and your video on there. It looked really fun. So I just want to once again state I really appreciate your time today, um, and and I hope that that you consider me as you continue to move forward. So
All right. Thank you so much for your time, Josh. Someone from
yeah,
our
thank you.
HR team will get back to you soon.
Okay, well, thank you.